What's going on, guys? This is Damian from The Lookout, and I'm tired. I'm tired, just like many of you European players, and today we are talking about the state of game in Europe, the state of play, and how Bandai is treating Europe and why things need to change. I'm not going to ask any of you to sub on this video. I'm not going to ask any of you to like it. This isn't about me, this isn't about the channel. I'm just trying to get the word out. And if you can, share this video. If you have any connections in Bandai, if you know other people who could talk about it, get a bigger crowd, just share this video. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's hopefully change something. Now, roll the video. So, what's the problem with the state of play in Europe? Well, to briefly sum it up, we don't have events. We don't have support from Bandai. We cannot get, support and LGSs, throwing new weekly events, weekly tournaments. We cannot do this. And the large majority of the problem is because Bandai adamantly refuses to work with European countries. They just flat out refuse. Here's what I'm talking about. There is a thread currently in the Dragon Ball Super European group. I'm going to link it in the description below. If you're interested in learning more about this issue, go and read it. You'll find many testimonies of players from all across Europe talking about how Bandai just adamantly refuses to work with them. For example, I won't be naming anyone, but you can see everything, in the thread. But like my country, where I'm from Croatia, when we started creating our Dragon Ball scene, we've tried to reach out to Bandai and we would send them, evidence. Store is selling product. There are people playing. We have an active scene that's growing. This was in very early stages of Dragon Ball Super, and we just got either flat out ignored or TLDR, told directly we aren't interested in supporting your region. Guys over in Poland, amazing guys in Poland, they have a very thriving community. They cannot get support from Bandai. Bandai just flat out says no. They just refuse to acknowledge to support the market. In Denmark, we are struggling to get anything going. Hungary has some events, also struggling to get things going. And we also have not tournament organizers, but stores also saying we've tried to get product and support from Bandai. They just keep ignoring us. Not ignoring in not responding, but just saying we're not interested. That's it. Now, here's what I ask you, Bandai. Are you interested in making money? Because this is not how you make money. And players are walking away. When I say players are walking away, you can see this in the thread that I have linked, but I'm going to slap some of the comments here. People have just stopped playing. They're walking away. You have more and more people writing in the group we don't have tournaments anymore. The interest is in complete decline. Bandai isn't holding big events. Our stores cannot get support, and people are just switching to different card games. So how can a community thrive under such circumstances? There in various countries, they used to have more events, more stores, more players, but these numbers are either stagnating or they're just falling apart. Would you imagine that a big country like Germany, for example, is struggling to get even a small community running? Because people are they're gone. Netherlands, gone, nothing. Belgium, basically on life support. Denmark, gone. And a large portion is just that Bandai doesn't advertise the game, second, doesn't do anything to support the game in the country. We have constant product delays, we don't have tournaments, We can barely get our hands on tournament prizes because we aren't getting support. We're basically left to fend for ourselves. The only regions that are seeing success are Spain, France, and to my knowledge, Italy. But if you're an Italian player, please write in the comments below, let us know what's the state in your country. I mean, UK once used to be like the big scene, one of the bigger scenes in Europe. Now they're also like struggling to do something, and UK is ironically the only country that Bandai thinks of when they think like, okay, Europe, which is very ironic that the country that's doing its best not to be considered a part of Europe and European Union is the only one that Bandai is actually looking at and being like, yes, this is Europe. When it comes to stores and support, well, I'm also putting some comments here. You see, stores are reaching out to Bandai for more support. You know, they're interested in holding tournaments, but Bandai just isn't interested. A lot of store owners are saying like the communication is so difficult, and they're trying to point this problem to Bandai, but they're just being straight stubborn and adamant and not doing anything. One of our bigger store owners for digital, not physical store, just said like, okay, when COVID happened, Bandai didn't do anything to support online plays with stores. And when stores reached out to Bandai for online support because everything is closed, they actually got flack for trying to hold online events. Yes, they were told, don't do this, you're going to be punished for trying to hold online events in the middle of a pandemic. So just think how crazy this sounds. Bandai, I implore you, what is the logic behind this? Please explain this to me. Now let's touch on events. This is where things become even more tragic. Now a question to my dear American players. I know there's a lot of you watching this channel, so how many events do you think we have had since April? I know that you guys made a lot of noise about not having any events, not having anywhere to play the game in April, so what do you think? How many events we have had since the start of April until today? 0. None. So no events for Europe. No events in April. In May, we are probably the only region that didn't have their Unison Warrior online tournament. Our Unison Warrior main event is going to be taking place in June. And our only big European event, big emphasis on European event, is taking place in the UK, the country that doesn't want to be considered a part of Europe. Bandai, what the hell? That is how bad it is. Now, if you're thinking yeah, okay, Damien, it is pretty bad, it's getting even worse. Do you remember last year when all of us, on global scale, we had store championships, and if you win, you get an invite to regionals, to nets? Well, for Europe, our store championship started at the start of the month, and at the very end of the month, 2 days before the end of the month, once everyone had their store championships done, Bandai changed the rules. They've changed the rules and they took away everyone's invites. Because we are a super small scene, we cannot have big enough store championships to qualify for invites, which wouldn't be a problem if we were told this ahead of time. But it got even worse. They took away our invites, and then with Card Market, our big European, tournament organizer, they created last chance qualifiers where they charged people for a chance to get their invites back. So they took what you worked for, to have a shot at nets, they stripped it away, and then they charged you money to try and get that back. That's how scummy this practice was. And it's getting even worse than this. Now you're thinking like, okay, if tournament organizer, card market, is having such problems, such issues with Bandai, and they're clearly not interested in supporting the game, why don't you guys just find someone else? Well, Bandai doesn't want to work with other tournament organizers, like big tournament organizers. And big tournament organizers don't want to work with Bandai at this point. Because what I've told you guys earlier in the video, communication with Bandai for Europe is so difficult. It's so hard that like either tournament organizers aren't flat out interested, or they just give up, or Bandai doesn't want to work with them. Like we're in a situation where like people who are trying to set up some tournament scene, they're getting punished and they're getting flagged from Bandai for doing so. Quote again what I said for online events during COVID. Like, no, you're not supposed to do that. Like, man, like, come on. Like, come on. Like, in US, you guys have PPG. PPG is holding its own competitive season. It's awesome. I love watching PPG. But, like, in Europe, we cannot do this. In Europe, we're going to get flagged from Bandai for trying to do this. Our only big tournament organizer, Card Market, isn't interested in doing this. I mean, for crying out loud, like they brought the new pre-site best of one rules and we still didn't have them on our only online Card Market tournament. We still had like the old shitty best of one format. Like, and we're probably going to have the old shitty best of one format again once we eventually get the Unison Warrior block, tournament. That's how bad it is. Our tournament organizers either can't work with Bandai or Bandai won't work with them, or it's, pretty much the same. Like neither party wants to work with the other. And what's the worst part is when you look at countries such as Poland, where you have tournament organizers who desperately want to work with Bandai, who understand like, okay, it's going to be complicated, but yeah, we want to grow a scene, we want to try, then Bandai tells you like, no, we're not interested. So where are we now? Like we're basically stuck. Like we are stuck. We cannot have support for this game. So how do we fix this issue? Well, when it comes to tournament organizers, right now we are stuck with Card Market, and Card Market is trying. I desperately want to believe that Card Market is trying their best, with the little that Bandai gives them. I mean, I personally would try to hold something, but I'm just one person, who's probably getting BCCID banned after posting this video. But yeah, the core issue is still with Bandai. Bandai, this is my video on behalf of all of the European players who are complaining about the state of the game. This is my message to you. Please wake up. Please do something. You have a market here. People want to buy this product. Are you not interested in making money? Support the game. I mean, if tournament organizers reach out to you, don't tell them we're not interested in supporting your region. Don't tell them you're too small of a store for us to send you tournament kits or any sort of support. Don't do this. This is how you're killing the scene. I understand that you're probably not happy with the scene not being as big as it is in the US. But like geographically, we cannot have a scene that's as big as it is in the US. Like we cannot really afford to hold big real life events and have many LGSs with many players. We're Europe. We're a bunch of small countries, man, like compared to the US. But still, we're trying our best, and we're people, regardless of all the negativity out there are people and stores reaching out to you for help. Don't just ignore them. Don't tell them, hey, we don't want to do this. The writing is on the wall. I have posted it here multiple times. You can check the thread. People are leaving. And the saddest point is that people aren't leaving because they are angry at Bandai. No, people are leaving because they're disappointed. People love this game, but we're just not getting any love in return. And for all of you US players who are looking at this video and thinking like, oh, well, this isn't my problem. Well, put this in perspective. Imagine how upset all of you were when there weren't any events in April. We live in a constant state of this. Imagine how you are upset with like, oh, well, shitty online play, or we're not getting like good events, or Digimon is getting much more of everything else. We are in a perpetual state of this, and we are desperately trying to get out. I don't know how to fix this issue. I'm just one person. I have no contact with Bandai. As I've said, after this video, I imagine I won't be having any contact with Bandai. But the only thing that comes to my mind is just to ask you, American players, you guys have gigantic scene. Oceania, Canada, guys, please, let's try to band together to share this message to Bandai. I'm imploring you on the behalf of all European players. This is our desperate last chance to get something going, because people are leaving. People are leaving and our scene is dying. We are desperate for help, and Bandai refuses to change their ways, and they're refusing to listen. When we reach out to them, we get either ignored or refused. They never give us anything, any sort of love. Our product is getting delayed. Stores cannot have events. It's awful. And I understand that some of you might be watching this and thinking like, hey, well, this isn't my issue. I'm from the US, I'm from Canada, I'm from somewhere else. We have events, we have support. Why should I bother? And I understand. I understand if you're thinking this way. But yeah, please, if anything, think of it like this. We are still all connected. Disregarding regions, we're all connected through our love for this game. I understand that many of you were upset when you didn't get support. That's how we're feeling the entire time. And we're not asking for much. We just want to play the game that we love on at least similar level as other regions. So if you can, please share this message. If you have any contacts in Bandai, please share this message. If you know someone who would do a much better job at sharing this message than I am, please show it to them. Let's get some conversation going. Let's see if things can change for the better. Because we want them to change. People desperately want them to change. So maybe we will have a thriving community again. Thank you.